Well, welcome to another lockdown version or edition of our devotionals. This Monday, we are continuing on within the Ten Commandments as we look to continue going from Genesis through Revelation, looking at the story of God as He's revealed Himself in the Scriptures. The ninth commandment, these commands that were given as part of the covenant of how Israel was to respond to faithful obedience, faithful relationship with God. Ninth commandment, you shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. Again, on the surface, this command sounds and seems simple, but like the previous ones, well, there's a deeper layer. So, I mean, after all, doesn't everyone condemn lying, at least in other people? Survey in 2002, Time magazine, in an article, nearly 3 million job applicants showed that nearly half of them admitted to at least one lie on their resume. And an early article in Time magazine contained the following quote: "The injunction against bearing false witness, branded in stone and brought down by Moses from the mountaintop, has always provoked ambivalent, conflicting emotions. On the one hand, nearly everybody condemns lying. On the other, nearly everyone does it every day." Now, again, the immediate context of this command seems to cover legal proceedings within the covenant community of God's people. In that setting, covenant people, those who have willingly come into a relationship with God, they're to be truthful, even if it would be at their own expense, as in lying in court to get your way. That's not legitimate. At that time, court cases didn't have access to various forms of evidence we might be able to uncover and use today, no CSI labs, so to speak. It pretty much came down everything to testimony, and the words of a false witness could literally be fatal to one found guilty. One note here, in the covenant legal system, as we'll see later on, no one could be put to death on the testimony of only one person. But if two people lied, and so the courtroom was a place for full honesty. And today in our legal system, we have the crime of perjury, giving false testimony, false witness. But this command in the whole of the scriptures goes well beyond just the courtroom. The underlying principle here is that God forbids all forms of falsehood, where one's neighbor, is going to be injured in any way. And this is important because it helps us, for example, understand how Rahab and Judges would lie to the authorities of her city, Jericho, yet be hailed as a hero of faith in Hebrews chapter 11. Again, Jesus is going to define neighbor in part by someone who's in need. As those spies were in need, they were being faithful to God and were in danger for that. The principle that we see here is any deception that injures or harms or withholds truth from those who deserve it because they're not going to harm themselves or others, withholding that truth is wrong. So, for example, the classic Anne Frank, her family telling the Gestapo officers that, no, I don't have any Jews hiding in my house. That's a deception. If you were part of the Underground Railroad and have you seen any runaway slaves? Do you have any runaway slaves in your wagon? No, sir. It's a deception. But this is not going against this command or the principle, because there's a greater blessing that's coming. And this is where this command gets tricky. We can so easily deceive ourselves into believing our deception isn't harming anyone. So we need to be careful in what we say, that we are being truthful, that our words are only seeking to bless others, to honor the truth, because we are seeking to honor, to reflect the nature and the character of God, who is completely truthful. And so, yes, as the cliche goes, Honesty is the best policy, not because we will be rewarded for that. Honesty is the best policy because we are seeking to honor a God who is truthful. And so here's the question for us. Where are you struggling with being completely truthful, even if it's going to be at your own expense? Are you failing to tell someone the truth because it might hurt you? Or it may bring some short-term pain for them, but in the long term, it is for their best. See, sometimes not saying anything at all is also bearing false witness. As a quote that I came across says, in a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. We're called to be people who tell the truth to all whom it will bless. Jesus said that everyone who is on the side of truth listens to him. And he said that to Pilate. So let's listen to Jesus by being truthful in all things so that others are blessed and not harmed. And this devotional may bring up a whole pile of questions. And if so, faithfulquestions@gmail.com, or you can send them to the church if you've got that, my email as well. With that, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious to you. And today, would you know his peace? God bless.